This conference will now be recorded.
So hello Andy once again. So we'll be starting with the SAP US payroll today. And US payroll, so as I have received the basic requirement, like these are the different focus area which we will be focusing on the sessions. Like you'd like to understand the more about the tax, US tax configurations, TUBs, how BSI tax is calculated and how BSI is implemented inside your payroll. And also, as we have already covered the EC payroll part, so I will be having a connect with that because most of the organizations they will be moving from tax factory BSI to cloud BSI. So we will be focusing on that area. Then I'll be guiding you regarding how to apply those tax specific nodes and how to test those nodes. Okay, so these are different tax related area I'll be covering. Then we'll be seeing that there are different third-party configuration like ADP. I'll be giving one example. Mostly in US, they use ADP for third-party configurations and all. And followed by, we'll be focusing on the payroll interface design as well as finance integration. So PICO integration, I'll be focusing more on the latest one. That is S/4HANA based FICO integration that I will be focusing on.
Okay.
Then the common PCR, so like the standard PCR, how it looks like and how to modify those, customize those PCRs as per the basic requirements, your client requirement and all. So these are the focus area which I have received from the team.
Yeah, so, I wanted to add something there about remuneration statement, how to configure remuneration statement.
Okay, okay.
Because I sent this list to him, but it was just from my mind. I wanted to be sure I cover, because you know why these days things are getting a little kind of difficult for independent people, and it's getting to that time of the year when people start looking for end of year support. I already got some calls from some recruiters about most of this, which means people are already preparing for the year, half year or year-end payroll reporting. So that's why, and the scope in the market right now because of the virus is so low. I wanted to, and I have not done a US payroll before. I mean, I know gross payroll is almost like common to most payrolls.
Yes.
But net payroll, which contains most of these, especially for US, I'm not very familiar at all.
Exactly. So you worked on Canada payroll, right, business? Or
yes, that's most of what I worked on till now. Yes.
Okay, Canada payroll. So yeah, definitely that net part only will be focusing because gross payroll is easy compared to net one.
Yes.
Gross payroll. Okay, and thank you for confirming. Actually, pay statement I was about to include only because this pay statement, it comes under your payslip configurations. Okay, and most of the time it is done by the developer. Okay, ABAP developer, not very difficult. Like it is not the pay statement we are using these days, the latest one, HR forms. There is a concept, and I even do that. So most of the projects, being a developer in the earlier days of my career, so there is no point. Like I will be able to explain. It's a complete one day. So it means to complete one session completely. I will take pay statement regarding how to configure those pay statements. There are different terminologies, metastar, delta star, so many things inside that. Okay, I'll be exploring. So thanks for confirming that. Okay, for that I may need SAP ERP access. So I'll be just checking with, because I do have EC payroll access. In that, actually what happens, that pay statement configuration is it is a web-based, so certain configuration will not work there. So what happens generally in the typical, in my last project, what I did, we had S/4HANA system. From that, my developer actually downloaded and uploaded in the EC payroll. So otherwise, I will check what I will do. So at present, I do not have that access to the on-premise old one. So let me check if I'm able to. So that I will keep it towards the end because that will be a completely purely different topic altogether. Okay, so thanks for confirming, and I will be definitely cover that topic as well. Okay. Anything else if you'd like to add here?
No, I think these are the main ones I see. I mean, if you think of any like when a consultant goes to do a payroll implementation, if you think there's anything missing in this list from the point of view of net payroll. I don't want to, I mean, schema is a totally different ball game. I don't want to go too much into it. I just wanted to know some of these things that, especially for year ends and half year ends, that people will be looking for specializations and how to be confident in actually approaching them. Even if you don't know all the issues, at least you can go in there and be able to troubleshoot and all that. Yeah.
Definitely. I'll focus on this area, and also I have some checklist, okay, from that, because last 6 months back I had a support project on that, but I need to check if there is any updates, because these things keeps on updating as we have EC payroll. To make it compatible with EC payroll, there are certain things you have to see, like in the BSI they have clearly told you can't use the traditional classic BSI thing. Okay, so you have to upgrade your BSI license to BSI cloud license. Okay, you like to use for EC payroll. Okay, so otherwise your old tax factory BSI will not work compatible with your US payroll at present. Okay, so that I'll be going into details. Even that is I have included, although in your EC payroll workbook, sorry, in that all-in-one guide, I have not covered that. So it is an opportunity to go explore that as well, and we'll be going deep dive into that. Okay, no worries.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So today actually mostly the very generic topics I'll be covering. Then tomorrow onwards we will go line by line, like whatever I mentioned in this topic. Okay, so I have to customize this for you again, because this thing, whatever presentation I have, actually it is for a very new person who doesn't know anything about payroll, so gross payroll or nothing. So what I will do, I will just quickly go through those topics, okay, so that it will be a good revision for you today also. Tomorrow onwards we'll be back to the original requirement topic. So today is just an overview of all the US payroll specific topic.
Sure.
So first, as you know, the payroll processes I will be discussing. Quickly I will go into, because that we have already seen in the EC payroll thing also, but nothing special for this US. So payroll process is very generic one, but what are the things we'll be. Then I'll be covering what are the different basics of US payroll, what are the challenges or uniqueness. There are two kinds of uniqueness, like functional uniqueness, and there are some technical uniqueness of US payroll that differentiates US payroll compared to other country specific payroll. Okay, and that is for that reason there is a demand of this modules. Okay, across the globe, people are looking for hiring a lot for this, especially for US and Canada payroll. I have seen in India also there are so many opportunities for this. I have seen some of my friends are pursuing that. So definitely I'll be going through those topics. We'll be going one by one. So when it comes, this is a very generic topic. Like when it comes to payroll processes, we have in general, this is the high level or L0 level process overview. Like we do have pre-payroll, run payroll, post payroll, and your the periodical activities. So pre-payroll, as we have already covered, EC payroll. So the relevant thing will be your one-click monitoring. Okay, if you have recall, one-click monitoring, whatever we have covered in the EC payroll, or we call it pre-payroll activities or simulation payroll, that will be your pre-payroll activities basically. Okay, so all the things you have to check, ensure all those validations, policies, processes. So I'm going a little bit connecting with EC payroll so that you can relate it. Okay, as you have already studied, we have covered EC payroll, so that I will be connecting both the dot between your US payroll and the EC payroll, so that it will be helpful for you. So in pre-payroll, we covered the one-click monitoring, that is your simulation payroll. Then next one is the run payroll. So run payroll, mostly we have seen those how to run a live production payroll run. Okay, so that is actual run of that will be done by your payroll process manager. If any issues comes, it goes to your payroll administrator as a subject matter expert. Okay. The third one is the post payroll activities. So post payroll activities, what it will include? It will include your different postings, posting to finance, or pre-DME, DME, those data medium exchange, banking, transfer to banking, and your check different check printer, or all those things, payroll, whole post payroll activities it will conclude there. And also it involves your different activities related to the tax, so garnishment specific to US and all. Then once it is done, then there is the last process. It will talk about your periodical activities. So periodical activities, as you have mentioned currently now, like there will be year-end activities, there can be 6 month after mid-year activities. There are certain activities depending upon your industry and certain government regulation, federal regulations. You will be having certain periodical activities to be completed in specific for US payrolls. Okay, so those things we will be seeing, but I'll be covering mostly from your payroll point of view. Third and fourth process will be focusing more. And so run payroll, as you understand, like the text part, the post gross. Okay, so that things we'll be covering. So this diagrams is really handy for you for again once again to revise payroll as a subject matter expert or as an understanding the topic very brief at high level. So next one, I'll just quickly go through. It is not very much this thing. Like in pre-payroll, what are the things we do? This is already we have seen, like initiate payroll period, managing master data payroll, import external data for payroll. So the third one is important for US. Suppose if you're you are doing any import for external data, okay, like tax or BSI or anything. Okay, so in that case, this process will be relevant for you. Okay, the third one, import external data for payroll. Similarly, from a process point of view, in pre-payroll, what we do, we check payroll data quality. Okay, so data quality, as it is an we have I have already shown to you in the EC payroll, like how we can configure a validation rule, how we can attach a validation rule to a particular policy, how you can attach that policy to a processes. So those things we have covered. So we had the idea, the purpose behind doing that configuration is to ensure the payroll data quality, so that there will be no data discrepancies, there will be no redundancy or inconsistency of data whenever we are doing the payroll run. Okay, so that was the idea. So then process core HR data alert. The alert also we have configured like in EC payroll. So we have seen how to configure the different core HR specific data alert, because EC payroll we have seen like proactively takes care of the all kind of data alert. Suppose due to some reason some tax related data is not updated in your system for a particular employee, or certain SSN number is something mismatch. Okay, something, some those kind of data, so we can put those as created as an alert. Okay, so as I was mentioning earlier, so this data validation tools all can be configured. Like suppose the client requires something which is not out of box, whatever off the shelf offering provided by EC payroll, if it is not there in that list, still you can take help from an ABAPer, like for creating a class, means ABAP class, by copying the standard, and you can write your own logic and you can build your own logic. Then you can include that validation tool to a policies, then include that policy to a processes, then you can test like how this validation rule is working or not. In this way we can create check those create those different alert, and you can process those payroll data alerts. So that was the idea to cover. Okay, so I'm not going this, very deep into it, as we have this presentation with you. So this is very basic thing. Okay, how to initiate payroll period. So these things actually are, you also will be finding this in the success factor process library. Okay, so which I've already shared with you in that all-in-one deck. You will find towards the end. Okay, so I'm not going very detail how to manage master data payroll, what are the different event, employee event, but this is good for from an, suppose you are having a starting a conversation with your client, like what a typical process will be looking like, and how is there any deviation in their current processes. So these then this will be useful for you, because you can't start a technical conversation with the end user. Okay, so for that reason this diagrams will be very handy or will be very helpful for you whenever you're starting to person who is a payroll administrator and he is more from a business background. Okay, so you can discuss this topic with him. Okay, so certain topics which will be very useful. So all these things we have seen earlier, that I actually try to focus once again. So for that reason, we will be seeing all this process diagram, process core HR data alert. Okay, process payroll data alert, how to check those alert and all. So here you can see most of the things. There is a violet or color PCC. For that reason, payroll control center is capable of doing that. So for that reason, we have kept payroll control center as highlighted here. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that is taken care by payroll control center. Then the L1 process. So this is run payroll, run upcycle payroll. So what are the detailed processes? You can go through it. Okay. So how to run an upcycle? What are the different processes? What are the different steps? Okay. So wherever you will be seeing, there are always PCC. Means I have actually curated it for targeting the EC payroll only. Otherwise, the traditional upcycle payroll process and all means current almost same, but there are certain PCC specific things. Okay, so we can just go through this and read it through. It is good to understand all these topics. Same goes with your post payroll, like what are the different payment will be payroll payment will be done, how to execute those payroll posting to finance. Okay, how to run those posting finance accounting, releasing, transferring the posting document. Okay, all these things are actually, and I'll be focusing on this area whenever I'll be discussing the configuration for FI integration. Okay, finance control, FICO integration or S4HANA FI finance integration. At that point of time, I'll be again come back to this topic. Okay, so I'll be explaining how means this is now means what are the things to be done in the front end, but in the back end, what exactly happened, that mechanism and that architecture and how those things works inside the system, that will be going deep dive. Okay, so that I kept this topic in the finance integration topic. So definitely we'll be going deep dive into that. Okay.
So are many people, are there many companies now moving to HANA Finance, S4 HANA Finance?
Yes, yes. So actually, SAP has previously told by 2025 people must move, otherwise they will decommission the existing. Okay, but at present they have at present extended to 2028 or 30, I believe. But still, if SAP has already told, like all the innovation will be happening in your S4 HANA, because that is the go-to product in the future. Okay, it is already many people are already migrated and started migrating. So these days also you'll be finding many opportunities or many projects are coming from data migration area also, like EC data migration consultant, like EC payroll data migration. So in that area also people are finding a lot of opportunities there also. But most of the customers who are customer of standard, means they're started. Once they are customer of SAP, mostly they try to keep it. They do not want to go with other vendor. Okay, so the current vendor, if it is SAP, they're trying to move it to SAP HANA, S4 HANA Cloud or SuccessFactor, all those. Okay, so yeah. Any question? You're asking something, Andy?
No, that's it. I just wanted to know. It's very timely for me to learn how to do that integration with S4 HANA Finance.
So I'll be covering that topic. S4 HANA finance integration, how that is done. So also there is something called technical thing which called ALE. Did I cover that? I think I just give an overview of that. Application link enabling, how to create a model, how to create a distribution model. Okay, so that I'll be covering. Okay, how to make those connections. Those are again ABAP activity, but still there is no programming involved or coding involved. I'll be able to explain to you. There is no coding, but as such, there are certain things which you have to do as a functional consultant. You can do. Okay. So actually, the thing is, in many of the projects, even I have worked, like there is no clear segregation between your activities, which the developer will do and which the functional consultant do. They expect everything to be done by EC payroll consultant, integration consultant. Okay, so for that reason, it is good to have all the knowledge of these technical activities as well, like as you have told that payroll, pay statement activities, as well as this ALE, application link enabling activities. So that distribution model, I will definitely go a deep dive. Okay, so because I have directly worked on that, so I'm confident enough to go through and I'll explain each and everything of that ALE.
I want it to be as practical as possible. Will you be able to show it to me in the system?
Yes, that will be covering, means that ALE part I'll be covering, because that is inside my EC payroll itself. Okay, so that I'll be covering in details. Okay,
Okay.
so don't worry, I'll be covering those topics in very detail.
Thank you.
So then next is your reporting part. Reporting, there are some standard reporting available, and there are, you can also custom report, can use US specific statutory reports available. You can directly use it, or you can schedule it. Okay, if there is any third party reports, then you have to send your payroll results to those third party tool, and there we can also download the reports. Okay, there also we can, here comes into picture your the third party ADP reporting, if you are using or any other reporting or any other government authority. So how you will be sending those things to those specific payroll. Okay, so that will be covering into details in the reporting part. So the periodical activities, as you have mentioned, like there are time to time there are different regulations. You have to submit those specific tax reporting or garnishment reporting to authorities. Year-end activities, your different like you automatically, there should be some kind of US specific legal reporting you should be able to download. So here I mentioned web GUI. Web GUI means that is your EC payroll, which is hosted on your particular from SuccessFactor.
Okay.
So here you will be finding there are how third party, what are the different third party authorities report, how you can schedule it. Okay, so from web GUI it will be scheduled, and automatically how to send those documents to specific for your third party authorities as well. So that will be covering in this topic. Okay, so this is the year end activities and mid-year end activities and all.
Okay.
So next, after doing this, let's go deep dive into basics of US payroll.
Well, will you be able to go through for me, you know, how from the functional point of view, kind of end to end, what needs to be done for a year end or for half year end?
Sure, I will cover that, but not today.
What exactly are they? What is the real objective of year end in the US? What do they want to do? You know what I mean?
Yes, got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
So generally year end they do around November, October, November, December they do, and mid-year by this time they do their mid-year thing. Okay, May, June around. So I will be covering. So once we cover the basics one, I will start the end to end, like what are the typical. These are, suppose there are 10 things to do in an year. I'll be very specific, just like I have mentioned in your EC payroll, like I have mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Like there are 9 prerequisites, 17 activities. In the EC side, you have to do 17. There are 24 activities you have to do. So many, all those activities. I'll just pinpoint like what are, so that you do not miss anything. Okay, what are the step-by-step processes from a functional point of view or a technical functional point of view that I'll be covering. So don't worry, that I'll be covering maybe after 1 day or 2 day after. So first we'll be covering the very basics one, then we'll be going into the deeper topic. Okay.
Okay.
So like as you're already there in US, so I don't have to explain the demographies and all.
No, I know this one.
So you're part of this, right? Bay Area, right? California.
Yes,
right?
that's where I am. Yeah.
Western side. Yes.
Just where that one. Where I'm in Sacramento.
Okay. So where exactly in California?
Sorry.
You're in California, right? At present.
No, I'm in Sacramento. You see Sacramento there? That is the
okay.
That is the headquarters of California.
Okay. Sacramento.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice to understand. I was just revising my geography to understand this topic, and I believe I love the subject, the geography, because in the class 7th or 8th standard, I did all this. Since at that point I was just imagining. So these are different places, how it looks like, how from your atlas or globe, Europe. But these days, as I am learning multiple, also doing multiple payroll, I am also trying to understand their different
geography.
also how the
lifestyle. Do you have a lot of work from US?
Not at present. Mostly at present, where I'm focusing, means my projects are involved in Middle East as well as a domestic. But my friends who are working in other part of in India, and they are actually supporting US project.
Oh, wow.
So they do work mostly in the different shift, 2 o'clock to night 12 in the there we to schedule just as well to meet the US timing. But
Yes.
for me, it is the Middle East timing, so mostly not much difference. Time difference only 1.5 hour. But for them, they have to say a completely different time zone.
Yes.
Just, yeah. So
Yeah.
these things, demographics, are not worried. So
Yeah,
as
that's
you're
fine.
already there,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
nothing
we
much.
can go. We can go on.
Yeah. So now I'll be just focusing today on two topics: the functional uniqueness and the technical uniqueness. Okay, how US payroll is differentiated or to compare to other countries' payroll. That uniqueness we'll be covering, and what are the 7 functional uniqueness. So first uniqueness, it is the union. So have you ever worked on any union payroll?
I worked on union payroll, but not in SAP.
Okay.
I worked on union payroll maybe for about 4 or 5 years in a different software, and got to know a lot about union collective agreements and all that. That we now also build into our pay scale configuration in SAP. Yeah. So yeah, so I know about union, but I just need some experience within SAP itself. Yeah.
Okay. So nothing much difference in terms of processes, but the thing is, there are certain typical things are there in SAP provides those provision to cater the union payroll. So just before we start, just I wanted to know, whenever you're handling any union payroll, whether you have worked on any Oracle or any other product payroll, what are the typical challenges you face there? Just it's an open question for you.
Okay. For unions.
For unions, it may be US or it may be Canada or any means it doesn't matter. But any what are the typical challenges in general? Just I wanted to try to understand.
Well, I think one of the main challenge of unions is that there are different within a particular union. There will be local unions within a broad union, and in each of the local unions there will be different rules on the same item.
Okay.
And you now have to find a way to now define, let's say, for instance, assuming it's a United Road Workers Union. Those in California will say, well, for overtime, we don't care about 1.5. Every overtime in California will be twice the rate we pay for normal rates.
Okay.
Those in Colorado for the same union can say no, overtime for us is 1.5. Now, if you were doing an implementation for payroll for US, you now have to take into consideration that there are different union groups, union locals within the same union. And now you have to work out how either you use your schema or your PCR to define and distinguish between them. And then also, of course, the other uniqueness is that they are the ones that have a lot of grades and levels within their ranks and file. And also, I think their benefits can be a bit very complex or complicated.
Yes. I do understand.
Those are the few ones that come to my mind immediately.
I understand. More or less similar here in India also. What I got an opportunity to work for a hospitality industry.
Oh, good.
In one of the top hospitality industry in India. So they had more than 35 hotel chains across India. And so from there, all the hotels, whatever there, we have implemented Indian payroll. Only for one location in the western part of India, they had unions, like 2 or 3 hotels. They were following unions, but that is only for the, not for executives, only for the daily workers, like up to a particular 2 to 3 grades. And they were very stringent, very strict about their policies and all. So
Oh,
they,
yeah.
whatever their policy, you have to follow. You don't have to question them. Like,
Yes. No, you don't question them. You go do what they tell you. Yeah, and because of the change management in the project, we ensure that there is no challenge to all the things that have been approved by the company for the unions.
Exactly.
They don't want a situation whereby the implementation of the project is now causing issues with the already agreed collective agreements. Yeah,
True.
so it's always a big challenge for change management.
Yes, change management plays a bigger role there. Yeah. So I think in US also same thing is there. Like it is no, it is not either. Is it regulated by US or how is it? It's only
Which one?
independent. So
Which one?
unions, they're I think independent, right?
Independent?
Means US those unions are they are independent, right? They take their own decision or they are regulated
no,
by.
they're not. They're not. Government has no hand in them. They just there's a general law on how unions should be formed on a very high level, but how they run themselves is totally up to them.
Yeah. The same thing here also. Like they do, government have given some regulations, but they follow their own things. Means as per their locations, as per their union had decisions, and that keeps changing every 2 to 3 years, or depends upon that.
Yeah, some of them is yearly, and then once they negotiate it, they probably declare. They start negotiating from maybe May, June. And by the time it's about November, they sign the agreed agreements. And then as part of the year ends and as part of the modifications for the next payroll year, you now have to include all those and modify your system to reflect all those agreements. Yes.
I got your point. So basically here also saying it works similar way. So unions basically their autonomy is given to them, but they will be regulated not directly by the government, but they will be giving guidelines and all. But from a SAP point of view, what are the things so we will be, so this agreement, suppose in the agreement point of view as a consultant, what you should know. So like from payroll point of view, what are the things, suppose there are in the agreement, say some 50 decisions have been taken, and out of 50, suppose that there are 20 things which is impacting your payroll. Okay.
Yes.
So from those 20 things, you have to understand those topic, and is there any change in the configuration of your specific wage type or any hourly time clocking, time related data related any issues. Okay. Mostly this is actually they increase the wages. Like suppose they were paying something else for 1 hour, one or extra additional hour or overtime, they might have increased that. So in that case, it is easy. Like wherever you have created the or the last record, you have to just copy that, and you have to from suppose it is starting from say 2021 January, it's a different rule. So you just create a copy the old one and just create a new record for that. That we can do. But there are certain rule the calculations, their levels also change, which is not directly done in the wage types. Rather in the schema, in the payroll PCR, you have to change certain things. So we'll be seeing that, like what are the things, basic changes. There are certain do's and don'ts. So that also we'll be covering whenever we'll be discussing those PCRs and all.
Okay. Thank you.
So from SAP point of view, these 4 things you have to understand. From an union point of view, like SAP provides specific info type, like for the union dues. Suppose there is an union dues, so how to maintain those union dues? We have targeted specific info types for that. We'll be seeing that. And for adjusting any kind of adjustment to do for any union agreement, you can build your custom rules and all. But again, in the custom rules also, there are certain frequently, it's not like it's brand new rule you have to create every time. It will be more or less similar whatever you have already used, or certain things with the industry standard. Okay, so mostly they give. So those kind of rules we'll be seeing 1 or 2 how to do those changes, small changes. Okay, and the third thing is you have to configure. Suppose there is a, as I was mentioning, as simple as extending a wage type or delimiting a wage type. Okay, from a particular date, or increasing the amount. Suppose it is a overtime wage type. Okay, that we'll be seeing how to configure those wage types appropriately. Okay, we'll see that. Fourth one is regarding the workforce users. If the current industry is using the time clocking, time in and time out, how this interface, is there any changes in that? Okay, so it may be Chronos, it can be workforce, or it can be any third party software, time software, which is certified by SAP. Okay, so that we see how to do those things. That is regarding that is first first and foremost uniqueness in US payroll. So why I have made it union is very specific because it's more stringent compared to other countries. When US payroll is more stringent about this in industry, they do have much more challenging regulations and all. So from that point of view, you may require writing custom rule a lot of time. So for that reason, union is one of the biggest unique, one of the first and foremost unique thing in the functional union point of view, functional uniqueness point of view.
Yeah.
Then next is interesting part, that is the tax.
Yes.
So tax is actually one of the country which follows the multi-tier tax structure. It has a 3-layer of tax structure, you know, federal, state, and local. And the tax regulations also differ from one state to other state. Okay, so I have seen my friends like who are working in one state, they're staying in one state, then they have a different regulations. So that is I have seen. So in the how it impacts your US payroll, there are specific tax related info types. So text which is regulated by the tax structures given by SAP, and there are specific tax calculation schemas which is offered by SAP. Okay, so that we will be seeing. And whenever you are running a tax, suppose you are running a payroll for US, there are certain tax wage types that are generated. So before I go to that topic, I just wanted to know, do you understand what is the secondary wage type? I think you must have understood.
Yeah, you mean the technical wage types?
Exactly. So that is starting with /401/402.
Exactly.
Kind of
starts from 101 all the way to.
Exactly. So I don't have to much go into that.
No.
So basically, those waste types are generated whenever you are running tax-related processes. Okay. And the fourth one is there is a specific model for any US specific tax. Okay. So how to configure that model, tax model, we'll be seeing. Right? Because I'll be focusing more time on the tax. Tax is one of the critical area of US payroll. So we'll be focusing much on this topic. Then how those tax calculation engine that SAP US payroll uses, we will be seeing that. And what are the components of that engine and what are the different areas we have to understand deep into that. And there is a functionality tech called tax reporter. So which generally this is an end year activities like W2s and all. So is the tax reporter functionality, it will be regulating your end of year tax documents like W2s, and we'll be seeing that how this report works and all. And other than that, you have your compliance reporting and different annual reporting. Those are standard reports available already in the US payroll specific to tax. We'll be seeing those details also. And when it comes to the following January to December cycle, the tax return file dating is around April 15th for a typical year. Okay. So what are the business processes around that? What are the do's and don'ts? What are the payroll consultant or a payroll administrator? How you'll be tackling those things? We'll be seeing in this. And if there is any corrections, okay, suppose is there any adjustment is happening, okay, suppose a person left the organization in between, suppose a person joined in the mid of the month, so how those calculations, how those adjustments will be done. So to that extent, we'll be seeing what are different scenarios. Tax will be covering most of the time, most of the topics surrounded around tax and PSI.
Can we include there in corrections some things like overpayment?
Sorry?
In these corrections, we can also maybe touch on how to correct overpayments.
Yes. So actually, supports retro, right? Suppose if something is incorrect you have put, you can always go back and you can change those in backdated, and automatically in the retro it will be calculated. Suppose if you have paid more, it will be calculated in the next month, like adjusted. If it has paid less, then automatically it will be adjusted. So that you don't have to worry. It's an inbuilt not only for SAP US payroll, rather it is for a global thing. So it is a part of your uniqueness of your retroactivity in SAP payroll itself. So that you don't have to worry. That is already taken care. Okay. So anyway, from the tax point of view, these are the topics we'll be covering. Okay, how it will be impacting and all. So at the end, we'll be also focusing on the BSI part. Okay, so the BSI is mentioning BSI part I'll be covering end to end from a EC payroll point of view as well. Okay, so that will cover. And third one is the benefits. Okay, so these things I think we have not listed, but I'll be focusing on this area also. Like in USA, the benefits plays a major role. Okay, so how the deduction of the particular benefits, how to register for those benefits, and actually, if you see in SAP SuccessFactors, there is a different module called benefits. Okay, That is not a part of your EC payroll. So what for you, what I will do, I will be touch upon those topics from success factor as well. Suppose if you are having a success factor system, okay, how to integrate the benefits, that is a different module altogether, and that is not generally asked in your payroll certification or EC payroll certification or not. But it is good to understand. Okay, because in my last project, last two project, one of the consultant from EC, he himself did the benefits. He learned in the project and he did that. So it is not very difficult.
Yeah.
It's not very difficult. There are how to configure those benefit administration, how to I'll be focusing this area also, so that you will be feeling confident. Like you also know that how to integrate, because in US it is more applicable. Okay, those benefits.
Yeah.
Because in India I have not seen that much. It is much used from my experience. But in US, most of the clients they ask for, do you know about how to integrate benefits, how to integrate with Aon Hewitt. Aon Hewitt, there are some other you must be knowing. So those Aon Hewitt integration, so those things are there. The third-party integration will be coming into picture, and how to do those pre-tax and post-tax, how to understand the nature of a benefit deduction. What are the different waste types? There are different model waste types given by SAP. What are those? Whenever you are configuring benefits, which are the model waste types you have to copy? Okay, for benefit modules. Okay, and also regarding your 401k plans, how to if those suppose there is any annual limit change or any catch-up contribution change, how to regulate those things in the system. Okay, how to control those things in the system. And there can be remittance to different benefits provider. Okay, like as I was mentioning for Aon Hewitt or ADP or any third party Ceridian. So there's so many things are there. So those third party integrations, so the benefits is a part of generally third party integration. So I'll be anyway covering this topic for you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is one of the uniqueness from an US payroll point of view. So that's the third uniqueness.
Okay.
Fourth uniqueness is regarding the garnishment. So garnishment, have you worked in Canada for garnishment? I think it is there in Canada.
Yes. There's a lot of garnishment, and there are in Canada there are two main ones: the percentage and the absolute amounts. But it looks like there are more in the US.
Yeah. So before we start, just can you just define what is exactly? This is just for a layman. How will you explain? No need to tell the definition of garnishment. Like suppose I'm very new and that you understand that I'm new to US and I do not know anything about garnishment. Even if I Google, I didn't understand anything. How will you explain to garnishment to me, just as a layman?
Yeah, it's part of the culture and part of the law that when spouses disengage from each other, through divorce or separation, or if an individual has a legal liability with the government for one thing or the other. It could be tax back, it could be a tax liability, that the government or the courts have the statutory right to forcefully take money from the direct income of that individual to offset that liability. So, and that can be done based on the law. And the laws for instance, in Canada says it should never be more than 20% of your net pay, of your gross pay. And in some other cases, it should never be more than 25%. No, sorry, not that. It should never be more.
Quebec, I can't remember. Quebec is different, right? In Canada, also for Quebec has a different one, and for the other countries, for the other territories, there's different one, I believe.
Absolutely. So you can do an absolute amount of say, okay, we're going to be taking $2,000 from your salary every month, or you can decide to do 15% or 20% to offset either a tax liability or a spousal liability. Yeah. That's my understanding of garnishment. They garnish your wages. They garnish your wages to be able to offset a legal obligation.
Yes, it is a legal obligation, and that it also regulated by US government. It is a really good one. What most of the countries we do not have this kind of concept. It is a very unique, I will say, to specific to US payroll. And US payroll is actually compared to Canada payroll also. There are a lot of So very complicated, and the number of rules, the number of models in the calculation, and also there is a difference between different states. Like for one state to another state, those garnishment, it is really tough to understand those topics. Anyway, I'll be simplify. I have created actually a mind map for you. How will understand those things? Okay, so that you can understand how those built-in models, what are the different calculation, how those calculation will be happening different for different states. Okay, so there are different states, but anyway, I have to always you have to follow the latest and latest guideline. So in SAP also, what they do, if there is any changes, they're legal, because these are all legal things. So they keep on updating the notes. Okay, KBA, knowledge based articles, they publish, and you have to follow the latest one as well. Okay, so I will also guide you like how to follow those latest garnishment rules or whatever you are changing. SAP comes up with that. Okay, so these things you have to change either in directly. You can ask to SAP to apply those notes, otherwise you can directly take your help from SAP basis consultant to apply those notes. And in some cases, there are some manual configuration also required. Okay, the SAP will be providing that note to you. Now, even that is applicable for India. Even if in India we do not have a garnishment, like there are certain changes, the tax related thing. Okay, they come up with for every year, budget changes happen. So there are certain manual configuration we have to change by going to a particular so and so table, so and so through node. So we do that every year end before we go for the next year financial year. Okay, so same thing is applicable for garnishment as well. So we will be seeing how this, what are the new things in the garnishment and what are the notes. So we'll be going in the garnishment. Actually, when I was working for the first time in US Payroll in 2011, so actually it was exciting for me and to understand, because it took around 1 month to understand the concept of garnishment. I never understood the topic until you have been said, right? It's around 9 years back. So at that point of time, one of my mentor, in fact my manager in that project, one day we sat together and he explained very like a storytelling. He explained everything about in and out of the garnishment, because I was very new to garnishment and people are actually, it was a support project. And people are actually, the client was pushing means directly giving those technical terminologies, and I was not able to understand the issue at all. So forget about solving those issues. Okay, at that point also I was into development. I was also writing coding for a app. So it's difficult to understand. I didn't have much business knowledge or process knowledge at that point of time, being a rookie, being a fresher, so directly from the campus. So at that point of time, really faces challenges there. So anyway, now I'm thankful to him also for taking time, and I'm showing gratitude to him. Sometimes, many times I call to him, talk to him like for explaining garnishment so clearly that I can strong. I have solid foundation on the garnishment now. I can explain to anyone else who comes. So in that way, garnishment is an interesting, very interesting topic specific to US payroll. Okay, when it is very stringent, when it compares to in the way the employers handle them. Okay, so we'll be seeing in and out of the garnishment also. So garnishment tags, these are actually a very specific thing. And accrual, not very unique, but there are some specific sub schema. Okay, so there are for any kind of financial accrual, for any kind of payroll expenses. Okay, there are some. Here I have just given some simple scenarios, like for public sector. Okay, so in the US public sector there are different policies, there are different accrual related policies, and also sometimes in NGO, suppose there is a non-profit organization in US, they follow a different accrual strategy. Okay, so those things are also handled in the US payroll, but it is not very important. But there are certain things which is there you have to understand. Like suppose if you are working for a public sector in US for payroll implementation, or you're working for any NGO or non-profit organization, so in that case, you have to understand what are the different uniqueness for them. So that will be covering the accrual part of that is fifth uniqueness. Sixth uniqueness, this I will be covering more detail whenever I will be discussing the finance integration. Okay, like how the GL for expenses and balance sheets are calculated, how those are configured, and what is an account payable for different vendor posting we do for tax and benefits deductions and all. And also there are scenarios like controlling component of finance. Okay, once you do the cost central accounting, how this will post in your controlling, how to see those documents. So this is required little bit of finance knowledge, but I'll be giving an idea like at least you should be able to talk. You should start your conversation with your finance consultant, because they will talk
for sure.
Because those people will be mostly those people are chartered accountant or MBA in finance. They do know a lot of jargons around the finance.
Yes.
Which is sometimes I also found difficult in your initial days. Whenever I was just starting a conversation, what they are telling, I don't understand. Again, I have to Google it because I can't ask everything to them. What is that? So you can ask, but again, depends upon that the consultant from finance. But it is good to understand the overview, means how a finance modules looks like, and a little bit of a basic base level, so that you understand what is there inside that, so that you will not be facing any challenges whenever you're doing any integration between your finance and your EC payroll or US payroll. So that will be going to detail. It's a different topic altogether. I'll be covering that.
Sure.
The next one is the frequency. So frequency in terms of US pay frequency, it is also typical. But in India, mostly we have monthly payroll. We do not have mostly we do not have concept of bi-weekly or semi-monthly. Those concepts are not here. So, but in US, the frequency is varied a lot. It can be bi-weekly, it can be semi-monthly, monthly, weekly, or it can be non-standard also. So depending, these are the typical US pay frequencies. Okay, depending on the pay period. So accordingly, you have to configure those pay frequency in your typical configurations and all. So
you need to correct the first part, which is the bi-weekly is 20. I think it's 26.
Okay. Sorry, I think I did a typo mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, I was just at the night. I was just updating the slide. I might have missed. Thanks for highlighting that. Okay, so this is actually so there are the different pay frequency, mostly in the typical US payroll. Okay, so also how this configure is this is very simple. Like we have pay period and all that we can configure it. So, but it is one of the uniqueness from a functional point of view. So these are the 7 different we have seen 7 different functional uniqueness. That is starting with your unions, taxes, benefits integration, garnishments, accrual, finance integration, and your 7th is the pay frequency. So these are the 7 typical functional uniqueness. Next comes your technical uniqueness. So technical uniqueness, what are the 7 technical uniqueness of your US payroll? So we'll be seeing we have seen the tax from a functional point of view, but from a technical point of view, how this BSI works and what is the typically BSI is all about, what they do, okay, and how these are integrated. Suppose if you are moving to cloud, what are the changes you have to do? That will be covering from a technical front, okay. And BSI is nothing but it actually the acronym stands for Business Software Inc. So basically one of the world's most popular tax authorities. So like tax regulatory means product, okay, tax calculation product, and SAP has collaborated with that, okay. So those details you can always find in bsi.com. And other than that, in US payroll, what happens? The tax also it is known as the tax factory. Okay, the tax factory because it all the tax related table or tax related calculation of entire SAP US payroll sits in that. Okay, in this particular so you don't confuse regarding the tax factory and BSI. Both are the same. So BSI tax factory works with an integral part of your SAP US payroll. Okay. Suppose in case you do not want to calculate any taxes, that is a rare case, but it may happen. Then if your net payroll is completely outsourced, okay. Suppose in that case you do not need a BSI installation. Suppose if you are not it is not relevant for you to calculate those net calculation if it is already outsourced to a different organization. So then that outsourced organization, they will be doing all this for you. Okay. So in that case, you do not need a BSI installation in your system. Okay. So it is taken care by that particular third party outsourced to whom you have outsourced your work. They will be taking care. Other than that, many of the customers in US we have seen in the SAP, whatever the SAP is run, they do the gross calculation inside your SAP. But after doing a gross calculation, for net calculation, it depends upon the other third party like ADP, Ceridian. Okay. So these are the different vendors. I'll be focusing on the ADP part. I may not work on Ceridian much, but ADP is most popular one, and this is actually how the gross calculation happens, how they do the activities that we'll be seeing from a concept point of view. Okay, so that net calculation, if you're having ADP, what are the do's and don'ts? Okay, so that things we'll be covering.
Okay.
So then once it is done, so if the payroll processing is inclusive of taxes and net checks in SAP, then only you have to learn or you have to understand. So last point is important here. I will just call out again. So in case if your payroll processing involves inclusive of your tax and net, okay, inside your SAP, then only you have to consider this BSI. Suppose if you have outsourced it, you don't have to take care. So whenever you're working for a client, if they have, well, you have to first understand whether they have outsourced this BSI or they have it is included inside, it is part of their activities. If it is part of their activities, then you have to go deep into BSI, what they are doing in currently, and you have to understand end-to-end things. So also you can advise them what are the things they are not doing, what are the things they are doing well, what are the things they are not doing well. Okay, so those things all you have to cover in the BSI part. So from a technical point aspect, we'll be covering those BSI tax product. We'll be understanding the product itself, okay, and how SAP innovated. Like after moving to EC payroll, what are the things that also I'll be focusing on? Like what are the things new things you have to do whenever you're moving to your EC payroll. Okay, that will be covering from a technical uniqueness point of view. And the remaining uniqueness, not much. So anyway, we'll be covering all these things like schema. There is this dedicated schema for US payroll. There are some dedicated PCRs, like SAP has delivered many rules in US schemas. But as there are many uniqueness as per the requirement, so we have to customize those rules depending upon, we have to address those as per our own requirement, new requirement. And as I was given this example, there is a rule called X023. Okay, it calculates your gross, but there is a rule U011 which generally processes your info type 14 earnings deductions. Okay, so there is a tremendous flexibility in US payroll for this kind of customization task. Okay, but one thing you have to understand, there is a myth here. Like people think that if you are moving to EC payroll, they do not have an option to change the schemas on PCR. That is actually not a fact. Okay, so the PCR schemas work independently. It doesn't. It has not. It has nothing to do with your employee central payroll. Employee central payroll only host your in the backend of payroll engine, the backend. Okay, so suppose if you're using any customization in the body level or any programming level, then you have to do a validation, like whether you're moving, if you're moving to EC payroll, you have to do those validation. But when it comes to schema and PCR, you can still use whatever, if you're using the old legacy system or the old system. Okay, same thing you can replicate, you can directly use those and you can test it. Okay? Other than that, nothing much. Then fourth one is the model based type. Okay, so SAP provides for US payroll, so some specific model based type, like unique one, like /301, 302, 401, 402. These are all generated in your US specific payroll results. We can use those standard model based type catalog, and we can create our own custom specific waste types for the US payroll. Okay, so these are different fourth uniqueness in technical point of view. Fifth technical thing is your tax authority. So as I was mentioning, the tax is one of the complicated thing here. So we follow January to December cycle, and SAP US payroll also has given some technical adjustments. Suppose if you're having any technical things, okay, so how to adjust those things, and that is part of your year-end activities. Okay, so that we'll be seeing, and also we'll be seeing what are the different tables from a configuration point of view. What are the different configuration of a different tax model, tax combo. Okay, so that we'll be seeing in the upcoming session. Okay, so this one we'll be seeing in the tax authority part. And retroactivity is not very unique. I will say there are certain calculations which automatically find retroactivity. Majority of payroll users find it very useful in most of the functionality. Any calculation you are doing, any backdated calculation, any backdated changes, it will be automatically reflect. Don't have to do any adjustment. Rather, it will take care of that in the next upcoming payroll. So this is one of the thing in the uniqueness there. And the next one is the annual maintenance. So this is one of the activities which you do in the part of your year-end activities. So I'll be providing you step-by-step things. What are the things we do in US payroll for year-end activities, for annual, any kind of annual BSI, any support pack you have to apply, or this is there any BSI tax updates are there? Okay, that things also we'll be seeing. So that is actually activities to be done from a technical front end. And there are certain housekeeping activities also, housekeeping process activities. Suppose if you have not generated work schedule or generated any payroll calendar for the next year, so I will call this as not a technical activity, rather I will say housekeeping process activities inside your on-premise or backend payroll. Okay, EC payroll also. So those things you have to see whether this calendar has been updated, your holiday calendar, your work schedule, all these things are there or in place or not. So from an annual standpoint, annual maintenance or year-end activities point of view, these are some key activities. But I'll be explaining to you the detail. Maybe what are the things. Suppose there are 20 different activities you have to do. So what are those 20 activities? Okay, it's a kind of checklist. It may not be applicable everything for you, but whenever you are going for an interview or you are working for an US customer where exactly you have this activity, so it is applicable as per them, but you have to understand typical industry standard. What are the things we follow as an year-end activities? That will be covering in very detailed manner. So that is to summarize. Today we have just covered with started with US payroll basic stuff.
Just before you go on that last point on year end, will you be able to show me, for instance, I don't know if you have had the experience of doing it before, or maybe you know it. You know how we get these notes at the, let's say by around September or October, from the SAP notes.
Yes. So what I'm going to do,
I want to know how to apply it. You know, I've seen we normally give it to technical team, they apply it and ask us to test it. I don't really know what they do.
Okay.
I want to be able to see what do you really do. Yeah.
Exactly. I understood from where you are coming from. Even in my earlier organization, 2011-12, there is a dedicated person for SAP basis person. They never told what they do.
Exactly.
But after when I moved to other organizations in 2013-14, so at that point of time, everybody was independent. They gave autonomy to us. So I started learning from there only. Until now, I am doing myself. I don't have to depend. Suppose if it is a simple note to apply, there is even I do not depend upon them, because there are certain configuration they do. There is a transition code called S note. Okay, S note, but at present something might have changed in that. So I have to check that, and I'll cover that topic as well. What are the things from a tax point of view or the note point of view, how to apply a note? And so some of the, if it is involved a development program changes, what SAP does, say automatically they provide a wizard. Okay, so in that wizard you go to step by step, and automatically once that wizard is complete, so they will generate a PR that will generate a transport request. So you don't have to worry about what happens inside behind the scene, behind the system. It will take you the step by step, and it will do some changes in the front end yourself. But you don't have to, whatever SAP has told, just accept, just tick those boxes.
Because there was in my team, even in my functional team, there was only the most experienced lady who has done everything in payroll. When the notes came, they just gave it to her, and they said, "Yeah, okay, you take care of the notes." Again, I didn't have the opportunity to know what she was doing.
No. It is good to learn. It is good to learn. I will definitely, because whenever I was working in the last project, not last project, 2 years back, almost all notes I have only applied. Okay, so
wow, that's amazing.
So that I'll be guiding you how to apply those notes. And certain times what happens, there are some configuration changes. Okay, like suppose it involves some manual configuration changes in the note itself. SAP will tell it involves a manual changes also, and SAP will be providing a step-by-step process in that as an attachment or as an appendix to that particular note. You have to download that attachment as well, and you have to maintain those. Generally in India, we follow the same structure. Generally for every year tax related things, like it comes like that way only. So they do not do wizard-based configuration. Like they give us around 15-20 pages of one guide. In that guide, we have to follow. So these are the things you have to do. And also these days they are giving how to test also. Like suppose if you are having any.
I want to know how to test a note. Yeah, how do you test a note?
Yes. So I will also guide him, because earlier those kind of things are not there. Even the consultant has to think of himself, think of different scenarios. But at present, I believe I have to check for US. But in India, they provide mostly this tax-related testing and document also, like how to test those documents, how to test those implications, what are the different scenarios. Anyway, you can create your own scenario, but the bare minimum, the minimum standard, how to test minimum functionalities. Okay, so that your tax will be up and running. Okay, so that I'll be definitely cover all those topics. Okay,
is this the same process you go through when you are doing an upgrade? when you have notes to apply to an upgrade. Patches to apply to an upgrade. Is it the same? Is it the same thing?
Exactly. So this technically it is the same thing, Andy. Like whenever you are saying a patch, patch or say service pack level, ST level, we call it. Okay, suppose if you are moving from service pack level 107 to 108. Okay. So what it means is, suppose suppose service pack level 107, it came around say January 2020. Okay. And suppose SP108, the service pack level 108, that's another patch level which came around August 2020. So what is the difference? In between these two patch, they actually patch is nothing but it is a series of SAP note only. Okay. So whenever you are upgrading your patch level from 107 to 108, automatically those 7, suppose there are 10 different nodes, okay, SAP nodes, automatically it is taken care. You don't have to do manually configure it.
Okay.
That is the concept. Okay. Suppose if you are not doing that patch upgrade or your HR upgrade or whatever upgrade you are not doing, then you have to apply those 10 nodes. Suppose SAP has released 10 nodes for that country. Okay, so you have to apply each and every individual nodes manually or through the wizard. You have to apply those. Suppose you are upgrading to patch level higher version, then automatically it will be taken care. You don't have to manually do it. That is the concept, Andy.
I guess it's no longer important now because of cloud. Is that correct?
Exactly. So mostly what it does. So or mostly these days, SAP SuccessFactors, EC Payroll, they do automatically take care of it. But I'm not sure about US Payroll. I think it is also same applicable for them. I will double check that. But in Indian Payroll, mostly if there is any changes, so it is up to the client. Like if the people are happy to do that manual, they can do. But otherwise, you can raise a ticket and SAP will upgrade for you. So that is not much difference.
Okay.
So we can do anyway. So we'll be discussing more into details of that. So tomorrow onwards. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks, Andy, for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome.
Regarding the ECP materials, are you still working on them?
ECP material I have given to all those documents, that big document. You received that bigger one, 3,300 pages around.
No, all I got was the all-in-one new version. Did you send another one?
Version 2 I have sent. Version 3 actually it is work in progress. Okay, so version 3.
Can you resend it to me, because I don't think I hope I didn't delete it. I didn't see that. I didn't see that one. The other one you sent.
Version 2 I have sent. It is just one page less than 3,400. It is 3,399 pages. Anyway, I will be sending that once again. Okay. And
sorry, I didn't see it. I only saw the all-in-one, which I'm using now.
That is not having any version. So that which you are having, that is around 1,600 to 1,700 pages. But which I have sent recently, that is around double pages, around 3,400 pages. It includes your slides, all the slides as well.
Have you sent that one?
Yeah, I have sent it 3-4 days back. Basically, let me check and I will send it again, because I think it is a OneDrive, because it's a heavy document, more than 150 MB around. So you have to download it from OneDrive, not as an attachment.
Oh, it's in Google Drive?
It is your OneDrive, in Microsoft OneDrive.
Oh, can you resend it to me, because I don't have. I didn't. Can you resend me the link?
Sure. I will send that mail again. Okay, so that you can download.
Oh, thank you, because I've been waiting for it to see how I can incorporate it into my detailed reading.
Okay, sure. So I will send that again. Anyway, I will take another some 2-3 minutes. That is 98% already done. Only in the final presentation, I am just including those quizzes, like for payroll control center. Actually, quizzes for admin side I have already added earlier, but for P2P, that point-to-point replication, and for payroll control center, I am just adding some around 40-50 quizzes, so that that will be helpful for your knowledge check kind of activities. It is on the top of your whatever the probable questions which I have said in WhatsApp. Okay, on the top of that, I have just some additional practice questions I have given. Okay, so that I have included in that recent version. So that I will be getting around in next 3 to 4 days. This weekend I'll be doing that and completing. I'll be sending that higher version.
Okay, so please resend this the other one. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Yeah. Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.